Here we are, folks, the final chapter. It's been a long journey and a lot of hard work. Sometimes it can be hard to be of a minority opinion on the subject. But thank goodness for all the open-minded and supportive Godzilla fans out there who were very receptive of my criticisms and gave me such productive feedback. Fans like Half-Life Fan 98, who writes, "We get it. You hate Godzilla. Moving on." Stupendous. We also have Now Confi M Mim, hope I'm pronouncing this right, who tells me, "You're such a sad creature, bro." I mean, you're not wrong. Here's Papa Wanker, who simply says, "Asshole." RC Guitar Covers chimes in with, "Get out of here, you piece of shit. You claim you love Godzilla, yet you think this movie is bad." Well, you hit the nail on the head there, RC. Resroth Teth brings a new thought to the table by saying, "I agree, the fight should have been better, yes. But think about how much it would cost to make that scene or scenes alone. 2019 was a bit off in economy due to Donald. So Trump is responsible for the lack of fights." An interesting take. Oh, and here we have Kat Goldberg, who claims, "You shouldn't have standards when judging movies. If you want it a certain way, go do it yourself. You're a very numb person within." If you only knew, Kat. If you only knew. And who could forget my personal favorite, Gerard Skufka, who says, "Are you call yourself a Godzilla fan? This is a great movie, you piece of shit. Take your ass and leave the Godzilla franchise right now. You have no authority anymore to talk about this movie. If you hate the people who love this movie, you are a racist scumbag. Maybe you should go to jail for the rest of your damn... Maybe you should go to jail for the rest of your damn life. Stop judging the movie based on the fights." Who wouldn't love to be surrounded by fans like you? It's finally here. The big showdown. The fate of the world is at stake, and it all comes down to this. Godzilla has been rejuvenated by the nuclear energy of Serizawa's final farewell. Ghidorah awaits him, intending to guard the throne with thunder and malice. It's time for fate to decide who will seat the throne. The die is cast. The old rivals charge at each other, with a taste for the blood of their adversary. This is our trailer shot moment. Get ready for 3 ways to completely ruin the tension of a fight scene. Firstly, when the fight begins, you need to literally shove some shit in the audience's face to obstruct their view of the fight. Really let the audience know you've learned nothing from the criticisms of the previous film. Secondly, have a character spew out a cornball line to make us feel stupid for trying to take the movie seriously and ruin our investment in the tension.
Serizawa's got that lizard juiced.
Dude, this line makes me feel physically uncomfortable.
Serizawa's got that lizard juiced.
Please, at home, try saying this line out loud without turning red with embarrassment.
Serizawa's got that lizard juiced.
Why the fuck would he say that?
And here's the third way to ruin the tension, and this is very important. Introduce a new and incredibly stupid reason for the fight to be shortened.
Godzilla's radiation levels are going through the roof. You got about 12 minutes before he goes thermonuclear.
Jesus Christ, that's such fucking good news!
We are 90 minutes into this film, and so far, we've had 3 minutes of monster fights if I'm being generous. I'm itching for a fight, Michael. You owe me a fight. Mike? You don't go to Las Vegas and deny a monster fight to an audience like that! You know I want my fight. So why on God's slowly reddening earth are you giving me a 12-minute timer on it? Why are we suddenly introducing the idea of Godzilla exploding? Well, firstly, it's a callback to a previous film. In Godzilla vs. Destroya, the film was originally supposed to be the finale of the Godzilla series. Godzilla's heart became unstable in true Chernobyl-like fashion, thus causing his inevitable meltdown, a cataclysmic event that would release enough energy to take the entire world with him. However, as a countermeasure against the monster Destroya, the military had already implemented advanced freezing weapons. They managed to use these same low-temperature shells and lasers to cool Godzilla down at the exact point of meltdown, in order to contain the devastation. Godzilla perished, but the world was saved, thanks to mankind having the technology to minimize the damage. But in this universe, they ain't got that shit. So when I'm told Godzilla's gonna melt down, I have to wonder, how will that be resolved? We all know they're not gonna kill our boy twice in this movie, let alone in the middle of his trilogy. So imagine my surprise when in a few minutes, we're given an entirely separate reason for Godzilla to suddenly have a surge of energy to fight Ghidorah with. So now we have two reasons why Godzilla would be powered up, which means either Godzilla's impending explosion never mattered, or Mothra's sacrifice was redundant and therefore pointless. But if we go with Mothra being the reason for his power-up, which I assume she is based on this, that means we have this Godzilla meltdown idea thrown in not only for the sake of referencing an older film, but to create a convenient ticking clock element to the story. However, this comes at the cost of adding a restriction on the fight's duration. At least in Destroya, the countdown to Godzilla's explosion is measured in his temperature and not by time. That was clever. See, when you go by time, like saying it'll be 12 minutes until Godzilla explodes, it feels like we're rushing things. And make no mistake, we're rushing things. This brings me to why this Godzilla explosion concept truly exists in this film. The writers needed this ticking clock, so there's a reason for Mark to jump in the middle of the chaotic fight between two Leviathans, to search for his daughter before everything explodes. Without a time limit, they could just wait for the monsters to move away before they land. But the director wanted a scene with the characters in the middle of the action, so they invented a ticking clock. Hence, burning Godzilla. Now I pose another question. How does Mark know to be looking for just Maddie and the Orca? Think about that. Listen to these two lines from the same character, only moments apart.
Okay, we've zeroed in on the last ping from the Orca. Fenway Park, dead ahead.
Okay, guys, you need to find the Orca, get Madison, and get the hell out of there.
So first, Monarch believes Emma is using the Orca in Boston. However, a few moments later, they're now only looking for Maddie and the Orca. When did they learn Maddie was alone with the Orca? Based on their actions and dialogue, they're clearly only looking for Maddie. I mean, they never even called out for Emma, the only person they've ever seen operate the device they're currently tracking. Nope, just Maddie. It's curious how even though Tywin was able to remotely broadcast the signal to Mexico from Boston earlier, Monarch never assumes the possibility he'd be remotely broadcasting to Fenway now. Might make a man a little bit more wary about jumping into hell on Earth. Especially since his boys didn't give him a vest or even a fucking helmet. But no, for some unknown reasons, they are absolutely certain that only Maddie and the Orca will be there. Intuition, I guess. Or maybe we can call it narrative convenience. So they land in the middle of this shit show and begin to search the vast expanse of wreckage and debris. God, where could the Orca be? It could be anywhere. Oh wait, no, it's right there. Like literally right there. And it's intact? Remember how Ghidorah stomped on it with his full weight? Nah, it's fine. Nothing a 30-second fix couldn't handle. That's pretty convenient. Emma must have gotten an OtterBox for it or something. After retrieving the orca, Emma rolls up and tells him to hop in. Amazingly, she was able to navigate through the debris of this city under siege to get there within minutes. That's pretty convenient. Also, side note, Griffin got badly wounded by some shrapnel to the leg. Not that it ever really matters, but it's a thing, I guess. Anyway, Mark and Emma are finally reunited, and they spend their short time together bickering about Maddie. You know, the Russell family is intended to be the emotional core of the movie, so I kinda hope for a moment between Mark and Emma here. They were married after all, dealt with the loss of a son together, they were in love. It'd be nice to see some kind of confrontation or drama between them now that they're finally together again, especially considering Emma's 2 attempts to kill Mark. But we don't get any further insight to their relationship. What a shame. You know, I'm a fan of the Dead Space series. They're a trilogy of games that follow the story of Isaac Clarke, an engineer who works on spaceships who seems to keep finding himself in the middle of alien zombie outbreaks. If you're looking for a fun horror survival series, look no further than Dead Space. The reason I bring it up is because throughout the last game, Isaac is looking for his missing love, Ellie. They had a falling out, possibly due to Isaac's PTSD from stomping thousands upon thousands of corpses. But Isaac goes looking for her, braving hordes of enemies, unforgiving environments, and genocidal zealots. At the end of the game, he finally finds his girl again, only to realize he has to sacrifice himself to save mankind. And in this moment, we get an emotional scene between them.
Isaac. I turned my back on the world because I was afraid of what needed to be done. Ellie, I'm not afraid anymore. There's a shuttle over there. I want you to take it and head for home.
Don't come back for me. We both know I'm not going home.
Now, I'm not saying this is the gold standard for character moments, but the scenes still serve the purpose of breathing life into the character of Isaac. I've been with this dude the whole journey, and it gets me in the feels when he has to say goodbye to the only person that's ever mattered to him. Same goes for Mark. He's not an amazing character by a long shot, but he's been the constant throughout the movie. I've invested 2 hours into watching him chase after his family, and now that he's found his wife, I was kinda hoping for a moment between them. A moment that lets me know they're human. Maybe they're both searching for forgiveness in each other, and can finally find solace in— Sorry folks, we have less than 12 minutes left. Time's a-wasting, people, trying to end a movie over here. Besides, you're gonna want to hear this gem. As Emma and Mark bicker over Maddie, Barnes says he wouldn't blame her for running away from home. Personally, I wouldn't qualify what she's doing as running away from home, but the point is that he said home. And with the mere mention of home, Mark and Emma realize where Maddie is. She's at home, of course. Home conveniently being in Boston. Remember how they established that the Russells lived in Boston? Yeah, me neither. Come on, dude. Doesn't this just feel lazy? They lived in Boston the whole time? Let's be real. They came up with this convenient-ass idea just to have a place for Maddie to go when they can all reunite. Oh, what, her Red Sox shirt in the first scene was supposed to be enough to convince me where she lives? Fuck off, movie. I also can't ignore that the sudden revelation that they live in Boston creates another logic error. So, way back when in Mexico, Monarch mentioned that Emma and Tywin were probably hiding out in one of Monarch's old bunkers. And it turns out it was the one right up the street from Emma's house. You didn't think to check there first? Seems like a bit of an oversight there. I mean, if I was looking for a Bostonian in a bunker, I'd check, you know, the Boston bunker. The amount of conveniences in this script are staggering. But you want the cherry on top? How about the front door of their house being unlocked when Maddie gets there? Dude, you're telling me you left your front door unlocked when you went to go live in China for months, possibly years. Fuck off, movie. Let me just finish talking about the human part of this finale so I can just move on to the monsters. All I want is the goddamn monsters.
But I want it now!
But first, we need to establish a timetable. Let us go over the events that took place within the window we are given. According to the Doherty Commission, within this 12-minute window, Mark and his team were able to land and locate the Orca under a ton of debris in the middle of two gods dueling with lightning and fire. Emma is then able to navigate to them and bring them to her house through the wreckage of a devastated city, a distance which Maddie somehow was able to cover on foot in less than 12 minutes with plenty of time to spare. They are then able to dig Maddie out of the rubble, resuscitate her, then instantly fix the completely broken Orca, somehow leaving Emma enough time to drive it several blocks necessary for the film to consider her redeemed before ultimately getting swatted down by Ghidorah. All this in 12 minutes. But use your eyes, folks, your common sense. How could all this be accomplished in such a narrow window? Why even give us such a specific time limit in the first place? And where was Lee Harvey Oswald? Well, eyewitness testimony puts him on the second floor break room where he said he went for a Coke. Nah, but you get what I'm saying. It all feels a little bit, convenient. Let's rewind the plot back to when the audience surrogate finally finds her dog again. God, it's sad how accurate that statement is. Let me start with a few positives before I really go for the throat. Whenever we get monsters on screen in this movie, they look great. That, however, is not a redeeming factor for bad writing. With a budget of $170 million, they better fucking look good. Could have made 10 Shin Gojiras with that money. Anyway, I do like how the monsters behave in this movie. I like Ghidorah's snake-like movements and his classic flying position being used. I like Rodan eating a plane like a bird of prey. Seeing him burn out of the sky next to Mothra was pretty badass. I mean, Mothra looks radiant and beautiful, and Godzilla looks formidable and sometimes very alligator-like, even performing a death roll on Ghidorah. Though I think all the monster designs were great, I just wish they'd been more of a focus. Instead, they're peppered throughout the film in a manner where they sometimes get diluted. I didn't even notice some of these shots until I was editing because they happened so fast. What this last fight needed was time to marinate, so the audience can take it all in. So do they do that? Well, let's talk about this finale. I'm actually surprised to say it, but we finally got our monster action. About 10 of the last 20 minutes of the movie is dedicated to monsters. Now we're talking, Mike. Never doubted you for a second. Though a lot of this monster action is peppered between the human story, and we do get a few too many pan shots. However, we do finally get a few solid chunks of monster action. Mothra and Rodan's entrance, Rodan's defeat, the power bomb, Mothra's sacrifice, and Ghidorah's defeat. However, like the whiny douchebag I am, I have a few criticisms. Here's my big three. First, the atomic ray. I can't let this go. I hate the Godzilla exploding idea the more I think about it. In Godzilla vs. Destroya, he was brimming with so much energy that he couldn't help but constantly use his atomic ray, as if he were trying to vent the heat. We should be seeing something like that happening here, right? Come to think of it, He only uses it 4 times in the whole movie. Seems a little light, don't you think? Now, I understand holding back on the atomic ray in the previous movie to build up to its reveal, but now that we're already aware of it, he should be a lot more liberal with it. I keep thinking of that line from King Kong vs. Godzilla.
It's more like fighting a flamethrower.
His atomic ray is undoubtedly his go-to. So what was the point of saying he's charged up if it doesn't influence his ray usage?
I don't know.
You might be thinking, but Hannes, if he uses his ray too much, he'll easily beat Ghidorah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about regeneration. Remember how we established Ghidorah has insane regenerative abilities to no narrative effect? Well, let's use that. When the fight first begins and Serizawa's got that lizard juiced, have Godzilla really let loose on the atomic breath right off the bat and take another one of Ghidorah's heads. As Ghidorah tries to recover, Godzilla can claim another head with a follow-up beam. Have him dish out a combination attack from the get-go to lay down the law and get the audience amped. What I'm talking about is giving Godzilla a Rogue One Darth Vader moment. Something the fans will gush about forever. I mean, if it never matters in the movie, why show us Ghidorah can regenerate?
I don't know.
Now, through a display of godlike ferocity, we'll be establishing Godzilla as the badass he is. However, we'll also be establishing Ghidorah as a formidable opponent, as he is able to regenerate as fast as Godzilla can damage him. Have it be like that fight from Hercules with the Hydra, where the hero's power alone isn't enough to stop the villain. Now it would be a fight between an unstoppable force and an immovable object. We can still do the lightning attack and power bomb, but add a little more clawing and biting in the middle. Show me the blood. That's another thing. Blood. Alright? I'm just gonna say it. I wanted blood. Remember blood in the Godzilla franchise? Some of the most memorable moments in the series are awesome displays of violence that still make me go, "Oh!" 45 years later. Oh, look at that shit! And these are from the more lighthearted Showa era. Give me blood, Michael. I want blood. Combine all these elements and they make for a great finale. Godzilla, firing on all cylinders. Ghidorah, displaying otherworldly resilience. Both tearing at each other like wild dogs. I would happily pay to see that 3 times over on the big screen. A Hollywood Godzilla fight. A welcome addition to the annals of Godzilla history. Then again, history should be worth remembering, and this fight is anything but memorable. Something about the way they did this fight feels like it's on a track. It hits all the beats, the ups and downs, ebb and flow, but it just feels so by the book, so paint by numbers. In fact, the moment I saw Ghidorah lifting Godzilla in the air, I knew the fight was over then and there, even though it felt like we were just getting started. It's the obvious Godzilla's at his low point moment where you know he's about to pull something out of his ass to completely end the fight. In this case, the Mothra sacrifice. I think about it in these terms. The audience should be asking, how is Godzilla going to beat this monster? Instead of, when is he going to? Because that's how this fight feels. Predictable. Now, remember, I wanted to like this movie, but in my heart of hearts, I just can't. It didn't pass the test. See, there's a test I do with myself to determine whether I really liked an action movie. After finishing the movie, I wonder, can I name 3 scenes from this movie that I would definitely watch again when they pop up on YouTube? Now, you give me an action movie like John Wick Parabellum. Well, that's a no-brainer. Knives, dogs, armor piercing. Same applies to monster movies. Pacific Rim. Loved all the fights, but I could just watch that fight scene in Hong Kong 3 times over. So how about my 3 favorite Godzilla films? Shin Gojira, the Tama River Defense Line, the infamous atomic ray scene, and Operation Yashiori. Godzilla 1985, the Ihama reactor attack, the Tokyo Bay defense line, Godzilla vs. the Super X, Godzilla vs. Biollante, the first fight against Biollante, which in my opinion is one of the best in the entire series. Then there's the showdown with the Super X2 in Osaka, and Godzilla vs. Biollante's final form. Dude, I'll even give you my 3 from Godzilla 98. The first sighting in the city, the chopper pursuit, and the taxi chase. Now how about King of the Monsters? Well, I guess if I edited the whole finale to just the monsters, that'd be one scene. I could lose Antarctica. It's just the two of them trading beams in the background. I wouldn't go with the Rodan scene either, because it's just them going in a straight line with no real tension. The underwater fight between Godzilla and Ghidorah had some good visuals, but it was way too short. Fuck, I completely forgot Rodan fought Ghidorah. Besides that, the first Godzilla sighting looked good, even though he was just kind of floating there like a turd. Well, forget it. See, dude, all I really needed was a handful of memorable monster moments to like this movie. But all of the ones in this film that I can remember are all memorable for the wrong reasons. What do I mean by the wrong reasons? Well, not only does this fight feel underwhelming in choreography, it also has the problem of occasionally turning into CGI vomit. Whenever I think of this fight, the first thing I think of is this and this. My brain literally can't process the amounts of lights and colors. My eyes feel numb. Now, it could be the cocktail of prescription meds I took to finish this review, or it could be the Man of Steel vibes I'm getting from this fight sequence. Also, in terms of choreography, there's one moment I absolutely have to point out. During this monster scene, something out of the ordinary occurs. Multiple eyewitnesses testify that they saw unusual behavior on the part of Godzilla. Look here, frame 162. We see Godzilla and Ghidorah facing each other with this building between them. Bonnie Ray Williams is supposedly eating his chicken lunch on the 20th floor of the building, facing out the right side window. All he sees is Ghidorah. Frame 235, Mothra appears from behind Ghidorah and sticks him against the building. Spotting danger, Bonnie Ray Williams finishes his chicken lunch and leaves, still only seeing Ghidorah. However, in frame 303, we can clearly see a reflection of Godzilla as he is now behind Ghidorah. No witnesses saw him circle the building, he has just magically appeared. What we have here is an error in choreography and a middle finger to the concept of continuity.
Alright, I'm on it, Jim boy. Now sit down. That's the next report, man. I believe he's saying this in the court.
I mean, honestly, dude. It's tough to invest in the tension of a fight when the director can't even keep track of it. I gotta say, the best part about this fight was when I realized it pairs very nicely with Tourette's Guy audio. Check this out.
You can suck my dick or cock. Shit!
Look, it works in other places too.
Fuck! 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 Oh!
Alright, one more and we'll move on.
I'm gonna take a piss. When I come back, I'm gonna talk about the Mighty Duck movies.
Let's pick it up from here. Godzilla's just been dropped from orbit and absorbed Mothra's essence. He's starting to spark and glow, even as Ghidorah furls his necks around him. Yet for some reason, Mark decides now's a good time to get involved in this battle of the gods. Apparently, now that he's just reunited with his family, he wants to use the Orca so he and his family can be bait for Ghidorah while Godzilla gets back on his feet. If I were in this dude's shoes, I'd be clearing the area with my family as fast as humanly possible. Let the gods sort it out, am I right? Come on, Mark. You finally have the Orca and your family. Fall back, regroup, and implement a new strategy. Why are you risking everything when you can just leave? Didn't we just spend a whole movie learning how we shouldn't interfere with nature? But no, like typical white people, they just have to get involved. So they activate the Orca and immediately put a 3-headed demon on their ass. Great plan, Mark. What was step 2? Well, I guess we could have our pseudo-villain sacrifice herself to buy her family 3 blocks worth of time to get away. Sure, that sacrifice evens out with the millions of lives taken in her saving the world plan. We don't see any of this though, as her presumed death is off-screen. She just says, "Long live the king," even though from her perspective, she can't even see if Godzilla's alive or dead. By the way, this is the first and only time Emma mentions Godzilla in any way, shape, or form in this movie. How fucking crazy is that? So, as if on cue, Godzilla appears behind Ghidorah looking like a burning badass and delivers a devastating barrage of pulses? I don't know how to interpret what this is. I mean, I've seen Godzilla use a similar pulse before, but I never understood how that worked. Anyway, I think his signature red heat ray probably would have been the better choice here. Would have loved to have seen him chunk Ghidorah with it in some form of combo attack. You know, I think that's what disappointed me most about this coup de grace. I would have loved to have seen Godzilla win with a series of devastating blows rather than pulses. Remember The Matrix, when Neo finally realizes he's the one, and he kinda takes it in for a few seconds, where Smith, who had been a huge threat, is suddenly no match for his power? He's basically just toying with him. It builds the moment when our hero gets their second win, and realizes they might just be able to overpower their enemy. Sure gets the audience pumped too. Now this finale is like if Neo realized he was the one, then just knocked out Agent Smith with one punch like Biff in Back to the Future. Godzilla basically just set the difficulty to recruit and killed the final boss with a single RPG. I mean, when first watching this, I was hoping for a little more oomph to the end of the fight. Little did I realize, I was backing into this next moment with my cheek spread. Okay, so Godzilla's put his boot through Ghidorah's chest and explodes, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it's implied that after the explosion, Godzilla took one of Ghidorah's decapitated heads, stuck the gross end in his mouth like a cigar, then buried himself under the rubble and waited for daylight. Only then, because he's so vicious, to pop out with Ghidorah's head wriggling in his mouth like a wet noodle and burns it for a second time. Dude, even Godzilla looks uncomfortable. Alright, here's how this nonsense happens. The writers saw the previous film and said, "Wow, that kiss of death finishing blow was amazing. How could we ever top that?" Then, one of the writers gave the script to his 8-year-old nephew, and voila, we have our baffling finishing blow. Talk about leaving a bad taste in your mouth. Alright, now be honest. Does anybody like this finishing blow? I find it uncomfortable and confusing. Literally anything else would have been a better idea. You know what? Just pop him. When Godzilla stomps through Ghidorah's chest, have Ghidorah explode outward, spraying blood and golden scales onto the surrounding buildings. That'd have been pretty badass.
I'll burst him like a pig's bladder.
So after this lackluster final blow, I don't know if that's a double entendre, we get the one line that people who blindly defend this movie keep throwing at me like it somehow invalidates my points.
Good thing he's on our side.
For now.
No, sorry, he's on mankind's side. This is a trilogy, and we're about to enter the last film. There is no way we could satisfyingly Anakin Skywalker Godzilla's character so he's suddenly the bad guy again. Now for those of you saying I'm full of shit and he could still turn bad, that means this moment means nothing in terms of the bond between mankind and monsters. It means these ruins truly are a monument to mankind's stupidity, and it means Serizawa's sacrifice was completely in vain and only served to give rise to mankind's next, even deadlier destroyer. See, if you were actually watching the movie, it's pretty clear they wrote Godzilla into a position where he has to remain the good guy. As much as I'd love to see Godzilla fight mankind, to suddenly flip the switch in the third film and make him the bad guy would completely recontextualize the two movies before it, and destroy any continuity in the trilogy. Now, as bad as the Star Wars prequels were, they were smart enough to start hinting at Anakin's descent into the dark side in the second film. See, that's called foreshadowing. It's like them giving you a wink to let you know what's to come. So where are the winks in the first two movies of this trilogy that Godzilla's suddenly gonna be a bad apple? Is it Maddie's smile when she sees him? Is it when he was cheered on after destroying San Francisco? Nope. It's just this one line at the end of the second film. Come on, boys. He's gonna stay a good guy. He hasn't done anything that would even make him an anti-hero, save for killing Mark's son, which Mark forgave him for when he realized that Godzilla is, you know, a good guy. Then again, good guy implies his character having agency, and I don't firmly believe he does. He's basically treated like a prop in these movies, wheeled out whenever the plot needs him, and unceremoniously removed when they're done with him. To suddenly make him the bad guy would be like making Khaleesi the bad guy in the last season of Game of Thrones. Oh. At least everybody was satisfied with that switcheroo, right? And that brings us to the last shot in the movie. All the other monsters have somehow shown up at the exact same time from wherever they were on the planet. They all bow down before Godzilla, and he roars triumphantly. Godzilla has finally claimed his place atop the throne. That's when the military drops their second prototype oxygen destroyer and takes out half a dozen monsters in a single strike. Just kidding. But how stupid is it that that's now a possibility in this universe, thanks to this lazy-ass writing? God, what a headache this whole thing's been. But at long last, it's finally over. Thank God. Zilla. Ugh.